Hi everyone, this is Kura. So as promised, I'm making a live tutorial about my new release on Review Recordings, Bangalore, a track that I made a while ago. It started off as kind of just an experimental track, but I had some friends over and they thought the track was really cool and I should finish it. So I'm just gonna run down the track, show you about some secrets that I used, some secrets that I'm known for, that I usually use on my tracks. And if you guys want to shoot some questions, please do it. I'll be following them right here on Revealed's Facebook page, and I'll try to answer a couple while I'm also showing the live stream. So I'm just waiting for a couple of you to get online, and yeah, basically gonna show you the whole structure, the beats, the melodies, and I'm gonna show you the project real quick. So this is what it looks like. I know it's probably cannot see it as clearly as I would like you to see, but still you can get a pretty good idea. So here's the thing that got me the the inspiration to do the track, was basically this sitar sound, which basically was something that I found in my sample library. And what I did was I just tuned it to the key that I wanted to use, and then yeah, I recorded again and using it on the track for the purposes that I wanted to. So before starting with that, I'm going to show you the intro and how I created the intro. Basically some kicks, just very simple. I'm just using the Logic compressor. Please bear in mind that my computer is really slow, so it might sometimes freeze. But I'm just using the Logic compressor, just very simple compression around probably 1 or 2 dB. Yeah, 1 dB of compression on the kick drum, just so it glues to the rest of the track. Then I'm using some percussion also, just to get a different kind of a vibe to it. More percussion. Some more percussion. Then I'm using this this kind of how should I call it, like a string sound, just to give it a little bit of tension, just to to lead up to the breakdown. So very simple stuff. Then I'm using this another string. It's actually from Nexus. Also, a little heads up of what's coming regarding the melody. And then a little bit more of melodies just to get it composed. So all together sounds like this. So for those of you who are asking which sample packs I'm using the Cashmere one. 1 and 2. I'm using a lot of Splice. Splice right now, I don't know if you guys know about it, probably most of you know, but is my go-to right now. If I think of a sample, if I think of something that I want, like a guitar, like a vocal, like a, you know, just a specific kick drum, I just go to Splice. I'm a subscriber. I just type in what I want and I find it instantly. I download a single sample, so I don't need to download this huge sample pack. I just want a sample, I'll go there, I download this sample, and I use it in my tracks. Make sure it's, I believe like everything there is royalty free. You know, you just need to make sure of that, but I believe so. I don't want to, you know, lead you guys to mistake, but I believe so. And then I use it on my tracks, and you know, for this one, if I wanted something like Indian flute or Indian guitar, or I just go there, I type it, and you know, if you're lucky enough, you can find it. And yeah, it's Splice for me right now is very, very important tool, and I use it every time. Somebody is asking Nexus or Silent One. I love them both, but Nexus is it's faster. So if you want to just use a sound that's not going to be predominant on your track, like it's not going to be the most important sound in your track, you just like stacking, or you just want to find a cool bass sound which doesn't have to be like super unique, like a sub bass, and you want to go fast, you know where to go. Nexus has it. You just click 2 times, you have your bass sound. And just, you know, the most important thing besides the craftsman, the craft of the sound itself is the melody, you know, the keys that you play. So that's where you got to be creative. And then, of course, in the lead sound, you have to be different. You have to have different elements. But if you want to use just a simple sound like a bass sound for a breakdown, you can go to Nexus. It's easier. Although Silent is very good also. So continuing with the track, I will show you a bit more leading to the breakdown part. I'm gonna play it a little bit. So as I told you, I have my bass sound from Nexus. Very simple. I can show you. Let's hope this doesn't crash. Yeah. So it's from the Trance Anthems pack, BA score. Very simple. So very simple stuff. And also I'm using the sitar that I told you about. Okay, I'm still using that kind of string to create some space and some you know, some environment for the whole breakdown. I'm using this also this kind of flute. It's just to stack a little bit the sounds where I believe like it was missing something. Then after this, I have like a trap kind of section. So I'm using the kick drums, I'm using a loop from Kashmir, and some trap elements like the snare. Also using these cinematic drums from Kashmir, but I cut everything up, so it's not like the original one. I always make sure that if I use something, some loop, I have to change it, so it's not like the original one. So altogether, it sounds really cool because you have the cinematic drums, you have the Indian style, and then you have a fresh stuff, which is the trap beat, which you wouldn't expect it to happen in this kind of vibe, but it does work. After that, we have kind of a big room kind of section which is bigger, and it opens up, you know, to something a lot more powerful and energetic, which I start off with this Chinese Gunze thing. I don't know the name, but it's from Logic ESX24, which is Logic's own sampler, and it sounds something like this. So basically what I want to show you is, I'm gonna just glue this real quick. I want to show you a little bit of the trick right here, which is basically, if you see in my previous tutorials, my pitch bend kind of effect on the notes. So this gives the melody that Indian kind of vibe to the melody. So let's listen to it. So it gives it that edge, and if I take it off, you'll notice that it'll disappear. So let's check again the difference. So it ties the notes and it gives it like a pitched effect, not too much. So I would advise only like +6 or you know, -6 if you want to go lower. Yeah, or you know, something like +3 on your pitch scale. So that should be fine. Also, I'm doing that on the other melodies. So I'm using Nexus again. Here I'm using Omnisphere. Kind of a plugged. This is the plugin Omnisphere. It's a power synth. It's like it's sample based. Also, it's kind of something like Nexus, but at the same time, it's, you know, you can patch. You can put patches here. You can upload your own samples, which is, sorry about that. I was telling you, so you can use your own samples here, and basically. So it's a pretty, you know, functional kind of synth, and you can also add a lot of effects right here, EQs, distortion, delays, you know, you name it. But for the purposes of this melody I'm playing here, it's just very simple. I'm using a little bit of EQ just to boost what I wanted to boost and cut what I wanted to cut. Very simple stuff. Moving on to the next one, which I'm using the Nexus again. This is where it gets a little bit powerful. I'm using the sausage fattener, EQ, and overdrive. If I take everything off, it will sound like this. EQ on. So in the overdrive of Logic, I'm using the bright drive section, and then I'm controlling the drive and the tone, the frequency that I want to affect with my with the effect. So you can play around with it, but for me it worked on the high frequency spectrum of the sound. So moving on to the next one. So you see we have a lot of layers on this lead breakdown. This one is from Silent, nothing special, just to stack the sound, a lot of stacking. Another sample, this is from Silent. Actually, this one is to create more of, you know, to complete the vibe. I felt like it was too empty with the elements that I was, what I was using. And then for the last one, we have Serum. So this is the big one. It has the reverb on it, some EQ. Let me see. What's the this is a lead big room sound by Main Stage EDM Drops. I believe I you know, changed a couple of stuff here, but yeah, basically did the job for me. And sometimes, you know, this is because with all the stacking that I did, I created a complete new sound. So this sound the end product doesn't exist in a preset. So if you want to use a preset inside something that you're stacking, it's all good. Nothing bad is gonna happen. So what do we have more? We have some strings. And like a mid-low bass from Silent. It's just some saws. So nothing special. Let's hope, yeah. Just some saws, just to create some more tension, and all together it sounds like this. So yeah, then we get to the build up. You know, very, very simple stuff. You know, I'm always telling you, you guys that listen to my tutorials and watch my tutorials, the most important thing about a track is actually your idea. So it doesn't really matter how you make it. If you use Silent, if you use, you know, Serum, if you use Omnisphere, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have a good idea and you can put it onto your software. In this case, I'm using Logic 9, but you can use, you know, FL Studio, Ableton. It doesn't matter because all of these softwares right now have pretty much the same sound quality output algorithm. So it's the difference is it's very slim. So if you're using FL Studio and I'm using Logic, you're not going to notice the difference in sound. Of course, there are some techniques that I'm using right here that might make my sound better than, you know, or worse than certain producer. It doesn't really matter. But it's not only about the software. So you don't have, you cannot forget that. So a lot of people ask me, oh, is FL Studio better or worse than Logic? Is Logic better than this or that? You cannot say that, because it really matters is the way. What really matters is the way that you use your software and if you can put your ideas into the program. So yeah, basically that's it. So I'm going to show you the build up and the drop. So yeah, I believe most of you are curious to hear how I made the drop, and yeah, let's go into it real quick. Okay, so for the build up, some snares, very simple stuff. You know, I used the sound shift pitcher, so I can pitch around here. So very simple stuff, you know, just the usual pitching. I find that this sound shifter pitch from Waves is still the best plugin to manipulate audio files without compromising too much the sound. Of course, you're going to lose a little bit of sound quality, but it's the best one that I know of, so I'm still going to keep using this one. Then what I did here is I recorded the synth of you know, of all of my breakdown, and you know, as it was too many files and I don't want to be dealing with so many files, I just recorded it and just looped it. It's very simple. Very simple stuff. You know, it has a low pass in it because in the beginning it would be too much, and I wanted to start it slow and build it slow. Then we have a couple of risers from Nexus. Very simple stuff. One more. I always like, also when I do the build-ups, I always like to also use a lower octave sound. So because since you're gonna pitch everything, you're gonna lose a little bit of that low end, and sometimes it gets a little bit flat when it's leading to the drop. You want it, of course, to take the bass out of it, so your drop will sound with more impact, but you don't want to take everything away from the build-up. You still want it to be energetic, and when you're in the crowd, you want to feel that bass, a little bit of that bass, so you can, you know, you can be hyped for what's coming. And then I'm using, let's see what we're using here, probably, yeah, this is the synth from the drop, probably, yep. So what I did was I recorded again the drop from the synth and put it into audio, because what matters is I'm using right here 134 channels. My computer is not new. My Mac, it's my Mac Pro. It's not new, so I have to you know, I have to make ways to get space. Otherwise, my computer is gonna always start to crash, and I cannot finish my project. So I have to record some stuff into audio, which is pretty standard. Everybody does that, and it saves you some space, and yeah, it's gonna be faster for you to work. And sometimes a little bit, you can get a little bit more creative when you're working with audio. You can loop stuff quicker. You don't have to be with the MIDI always, you know, putting stuff to make a simple build-up. So in the build-up, we want to make a good build-up, but we don't want to lose all the time in the build-up. So let's listen to the whole build-up, and we're gonna get to the drop real quick. So, before the drop, I just want to show you the vocal that got everything, yeah, everybody, you know, really curious. It's actually, I'm known for using these Latin samples. We used it also on the collab with Hardwell, and I think it's cool. You know, it gives it that that edge, because normally the vocals are put your hands up and everybody fucking jump, and yeah, that's cool. You know, when you're playing live, if you put a vocal like that, it's acceptable, because you know it's gonna get your the crowd hyped. But when you want to release a song, you know, make sure you you try something different, and that's what I did here. And also we put some kind of percussion just before the drop, and also a vocal. So very simple stuff. All together sounds like this. Okay, so let's go to the drop part, which all of you guys may be curious about. So this is from Serum. What I'm using in the channel strip is sausage fattener, overdrive, compression. What I'm using in the compression, basically it's the sidechain, which also it's in this case sidechain compression. I know a lot of you guys use the FL Studio and use the I don't know what's some guys use some type of sidechain which is not from a compressor. I don't recall the name. You know, it's another technique. Some of other guys use the Nicky Romero plugin. You know, I'm using the Logic compressor, and compressing directly into the kick drum. So each time the kick drum works, of course, the sound is going to go down in volume, and it's going to compress the sound. And the circuit type I'm using is class AU, which is a little bit aggressive. You can listen to it. So basically, the compression here is like 20 dB. It's pretty harsh, very short attack, mild release. It's still kind of fast, 38 milliseconds, but you know, gets the job done. In terms of, you know, the compression, there's nothing like I could tell you like numbers so you could use. Basically, you just have to work with taste. Do you like it more dipping a little bit more? Do you like a little bit more loose? So it's personal taste. I'm using also a bus which has reverb on it. Basically, I felt the sound was a little bit too tight, too narrow, so I had to use a little bit of reverb, and I'm sending out with a bus. I have another way to do this. I just record this sound, I bounce it in place. it's an audio file, and then I put a reverb on it. I reduce the dry, almost all of it, and I put the reverb really high, and then I mix it in with my main lead, and I kind of balance it like almost like a like a parallel compression kind of reverb, as if you can say this. It's not something I just come up with it, but I sometimes do that effect. But in this case, I just created a new bus and routed it to a reverb, and I'm sending a little bit of minus 12 dB of reverb to my whole synth. So basically, the lead sound is from Serum, and this actually, it's funny because in the beginning this was a bass sound. So I was playing with the sound, and then I just pitched it a little bit. So basically, I just tried this sound. It was a bass sound, and I just pitched it up a little bit and see how it worked. It's I changed it a lot. It was a preset from Cymatics, but yeah, it sounds nothing like the original one. I put new filters on it and put a new wavetable. This is the cool thing about Serum, because you can work with wavetables, you can import them, you can change them totally, you can detune them. So if you have a preset sound, you can change it any way you want it and make the sound your own, as I did on this one. So basically, this is the first sound of the drop, which is really powerful. So I felt like I didn't need too much to stack the sound, but I still wanted a little bit more, so I tried another synth from Serum, which is this one. So it gives it a little bit of variety to the sound, and it gets it more unique. So anytime you stack a sound, it's gonna sound a little bit like more your own, and less like a preset, or even though, as you guys heard, I've altered the previous sound a lot, so it sounded my own. So altogether sounds like this. Other funny stuff, I used like a monkey kind of sound to the drop, because yeah, I felt like the drop was cool, but then again I wanted to give it that edge, so I found a monkey sample, and yeah, this one. And I'm using it, which is yeah, it's funny, but it works. So with the drop, it sounds like this. So yeah, all the beats are very important also in this track. I have this kind of effect that you notice also. So everything ties perfectly to each other. Make sure when you're making a beat that everything ties to each other, and you don't put a lot of stuff on the same time at the same time. Otherwise, it will get messy. But if you want to do something complex, make sure you have swing to it. So that's what I did. And actually, you have a lot of elements playing at the same time, but all of the elements have their space and have their time to appear on the track. Let's listen to this. So you see, you have a couple of elements working at the same time. You have a little bit more. So this is just simple stuff that you can do with a little bit of swing, with a little bit of creativity. You can turn this beat, your beat, into a next level thing and make it more interesting, as I believe I did right here. And this, in the second part, I've added a little bit more drums to it. So yeah, it gets more complex right here. And then in the second part, I just pitched down the octave. I mean, I lowered one octave on the synth sound, so it goes down. And actually, right here, what I'm doing in the end is just pitching the, the synth, so it creates another vibe towards the breakdown. Then we have the breakdown. We have a little effect right here, which is kind of cool. So basically what this does is, create some tension for what's going to happen. And it has just a low pass on it. It's from Nexus also. It's a bass sound, very simple. I just pitched it and filter it. And the end result is cool because it's going to tie with the rest of the breakdown. So yeah, basically another effect that we're using here, and then we lead to the second breakdown, and I'm gonna show you real quick what we're using. Okay. So again, we're using, as you can see, the pitch technique right here. Once again, I'm using the pitch technique, and again, we're going to the main big room sound. But in this section, we're using a melody, which I created some chords for it. So yeah, basically, this was the breakdown. It has a little bit of a melody, and then we go to the build-up, which is pretty similar to the first one. I just added a little another sweep, another riser, and then we get to the second drop, which is pretty interesting because it has that Indian vibe to it, and it's I went crazy on this one. And it also has that pitch bend effect. I mean, all my tracks have that nowadays, which is I think like a trademark of my sound. I believe so. I don't want to get credit for it, but yeah, I don't listen to a lot of tracks with it, and I know I've been doing this for a while. So this is the lead sound for the second drop. Yeah, basically, again, we're using the our little secret, and yeah, we got a little bit more crazy with the vibe, and this is the end result of it.
Gózalo, papá.
Yeah, some people asking get the monkey sample. It was from Splice. I think I searched something like you know, animal sound or something like that, and it appeared, the monkey FX, and I listened to it. It's basically, if you hear to the let me, yeah, I'll try to play you the whole. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm having a little bit of problems with my cell phone. You're gonna see me a little bit sideways, but I think that's okay. Yeah, let me see if I can find the complete. Yeah, that's good. Let me see if I can find the complete monkey sample, which I believe it's even funnier. Let me search here. So you can see basically, like how did I get this idea from, you know, from nothing. The original sample is this. So from this, yeah, it came a long way to basically this. Actually, the part that I like the most is this one in the first drop, where I get I use the monkey sample a little bit more. So yeah, from this. From this to what you heard. So basically, this this is a good example that you can make a track with everything that you want. You just have to be creative. I just felt the need, like, yeah, I really want to have a specific element that it's gonna, you know, wow the brains of the people that are listening to it. Like, it's not a common sound. So when you listen to it the first time, you go like, what is this, you know? So I'm always looking for that edge in my tracks, because nowadays there's a lot of good producers, there's a lot of good music out there. So you have to try, you know, to make something a little bit different, and that's what I tried here, and hopefully I did it. After that, we have the outro, which is pretty much the intro, but with a little bit different elements, a little bit more EQ'd, with low filters, low pass filters, so it fades a little bit better. I created also a synth with silent to dip the sound, to, you know, cut the vibe, and to end it on a, you know, a different note, which is this. So basically, yeah, I use this, and you know, all of my snares, and the melody filtered, and it ends something like this. So yeah, guys, this was the you know, a little bit of a tutorial. The thing is, with my cell phone, is a little bit hard to explain, and not to explain, but to show you in depth all the chords that I'm using, all the synth elements, because you cannot see in the screen. I will, however, start some series on my YouTube channel about production tips, and you know, a couple of career advice, and you know, advice in general. You know, I'll be using my YouTube channel a lot more, in the upcoming months. So I'll be doing some videos about production and all of the matters surrounding DJing and producing music. Because when I started to do this, to produce music, there were a few, just a few videos about, you know, producing dance music. So I had to learn from rock producers, rock engineers. So of course the theory is the same, but you know, when they're explaining certain types of sounds, yeah, it's kind of different. If you see it by a EQing and mastering perspective, it's going to be the same, because you know they teach you theory, so it's going to be the same. But in terms of you know, certain tips which only work in electronic music, you know, I believe that still is a gap out there to fill, and I will try to help you like that with that, because certain times, especially in these kind of tracks, you don't want the track to sound too clean. You want it to have that crisp, that dirtiness to it, and if you EQ a lot of the elements, you're gonna end up with something really empty, and it's not gonna be cool. It's not gonna sound cool. I've met a lot of producers in the past that don't know a lot about the technique and how to master, how to EQ properly, and their tracks sound amazing in the club. So when you do a club track, what you want obviously is the track to sound amazing in the club, and you know, well centered. So yeah, that's about it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you stay tuned to my YouTube channel. Very soon I'm going to release a video, you know, also how to get signed on big labels, and what to do, what to say in your emails, because some of you guys have good music, you just don't know how to present yourself. You know, it's very important that you know how to present yourself to the industry, how to behave to certain producers, how to be respectful to everybody, because that's one of the most important things. You have to have good music, but you also have to be a good person, have to respect the people that are in the industry. So if you go out there to blogs and to YouTube and everywhere criticizing other producers, it won't do much for you. On the contrary, it's gonna hurt you big time, because everybody is looking, and they will eventually know. So if you want to, you know, be good, if you want to do good in this industry, just do it for your music and for your talent, not by you know, bad mouthing other people, because that won't get you anywhere. And I've seen numerous examples of guys with with good music, some of them with bad music, but with not good attitude. You know, they're not anywhere, so, and they won't go most likely anywhere. So that's my piece of advice for today. Just a heads up, which is very important, I believe, and sometimes people forget about that, and yeah, I think it's very important. So I'm just checking a little bit of some questions here before we say goodbye. Which lead did I use? I tell you before, it's Serum. The lead is from Serum, which I told you before. Let me see a little. Let's refresh the page and check out some more questions. So yeah, pitch trick monkey, awesome. Thank you. I mean, you know, for a lot of people, this it's just a simple trick, I believe. Yeah, it's, in the end it's simple, but you have to come up with the idea, right? So yeah, that's the thing. When you listen to something that's a little bit simple, you say, yeah, but you know, that's just so simple, I could do that. So do it. You know, the first one that comes up with the idea, and if it's good, is the one that is getting the rewards for it. So yeah, we have to be creative about what we do. Sound design, don't you think it's important in order to create your flow in this industry? I mean, definitely. If you know how to craft your sounds, which is something a little bit difficult, I will tell you that. I've been producing for 7 years, and it's something that it's not easy to do a sound that is really unique and that is powerful, it takes a lot of time. You can do it by two ways. Either you go with the synth like Silent or like Serum, and you know, you start from scratch with a saw, and you play with the wavetables, and you add another saw, and then you detune it, and then you know, you do whatever you want to do with it. You want to play with it, so you can, you know, match some sound, and then from there, you know, try to deviate for your own stuff. You can do that, but that's going to take you like, it can take you like 9 hours. It can take you 5 hours, you name it. If you have time to do it, go for it. I don't have, you know, the time to go to my synth and create for every track every single synth. So what I do in order to stay unique is sometimes I use a preset, and then I change the preset, you know, completely, because then you have like a work canvas that you can start from, and then after that you can apply distortion. You can change the oscillator. I mean, you can use only one oscillator or two oscillators if you don't like the second sound that is presented to you on the preset. If you feel like, yeah, I just need one oscillator, I just need this saw, I just need this square, you know, you name it. The possibilities are you know, are endless. So you make sure when you use a sound, if it is a preset, you make sure you change it enough so it's not recognizable when you know, when somebody listens to it on the synth itself. If somebody's using the same pack as you just have to make sure of that. There's a lot of techniques to do it. One option is to change, as I told you, inside the synth, or you can use other plugins to change completely the sound. If you use distortion, if you use overdrive, if you saturate the sound, even with EQ, a simple EQ can change the sound completely. So you know, never underestimate EQ, because it's one of the most important things when crafting a sound and giving it that edge that you want. So that's very important. To be a good producer, you need to know music theory. I mean, you don't have to be a musician. I'm not a musician. I can play some stuff, but I'm not a musician. If you tell me, hey, dude, play Mozart, I cannot play Mozart. Sorry. If I trained to play Mozart, I would be able to do it, but at the moment, I cannot do it. But I don't need that to make tracks. I know a lot of guys that are musicians that don't make good music. So that's not, you know, that's not an imperative. You can be okay. You can, of course, you need to respect some, in my opinion, you need to respect some rules. You cannot build a track when, if your drop is in certain key, and your breakdown is a completely different key. I mean, in my opinion, I know there's guys that do that are fine with that. I'm not fine. I cannot play those kind of tracks. So you have to respect some aspects of making dance music. Otherwise, other than that, I mean, it's so open right now that you can do everything that you want. Music is music. So yeah, I believe like if you do something really out of the box, and it's not out there but people like it, what am I gonna say? There's no rules, basically. Yeah, we have some more questions here. Let me see. How did I get into the music industry? Well, I mean, I've been here, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been DJing for more than 10 years and producing for let me see, like seven or more. So yeah, I've been here a while, and in the beginning it was very difficult to sign my music. Very, very difficult, because maybe at the time I wouldn't admit, but the tracks were not good. It's as simple as that. We have to be honest. One thing very important about our work is sometimes that we're making a track, we're spent like 8 hours, 9 hours doing the track, and we listen to it so many times that we think that it's good. But maybe it's not that good to be signed. It's not that different, and we have to understand, we have to respect that, because from an A&R's perspective, from the guys from Revealed, Spinning Records, you know, other labels, Universal, Sony, it doesn't matter. They see it as a commercial, in the commercial side of it. And if they don't see value on your track, why should they release it? You know, if it's not something new, it's not going to add anything to their profile, it's not going to have sales, why are they going to release it? So you have to be honest with yourself and think, is this track good enough to be on Revealed? Is this track good enough to be on other label, big label? And you have to be honest and make a checkup on it. Maybe it's not that good, you know, I need to work harder. I need to make something a little bit different. And that happened to me. In the beginning, I thought, yeah, my tracks are good. And my friends thought, yeah, those tracks are amazing. They're better, they're as good or if not better compared to the top DJs. But it was not true. They were not good enough. So that was the truth. And when the truth hit me, finally, I understand. And I worked to get, you know, better music and better at what I do. And even today, I make shitty tracks. So yeah, it's not something that I've mastered completely. Like right from that moment on, I only made good music. If you become good at producing music, you're still gonna make tracks that are not special. That happens every time. It's like an idea. This is basically an idea. There's guys that you know, do other types of inventions, and they're just bad inventions. They had bad ideas, they executed it, but they didn't have success. The same goes with music. It can happen to you. So yeah, this was a little bit of advice on it, and yeah, and this is only my personal experience. So guys, I believe that's it for today. We've been here full 1 hour. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I'll be doing some more of these videos, but with more quality, with a proper camera, proper lighting, and an inside view of the project, so you can see all the details of what I use in the tracks. I think it will help you a lot more. But once again, you can know the theory, but if you don't have good ideas, it's not gonna do anything for you. So that's my word of advice for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys liked it, and don't forget to buy Bangalore on Beatport. Listen to it on Spotify. It's on YouTube. And shout out for the Reveal team in Hardwell for having me, and for hosting another track of mine. Much appreciated for the support, and see you soon.